Okay, hi everyone. This is Ron McKinney of Photoday Photo, and we have Rose Coleman here of Center Stage Photos and Lisa Malice of Photoday. Um, I have a studio in the northwest suburbs of Chicago, and I've been doing dance since 2008. For those of you who don't know me, 90% of my business is actually dance, and I do some work here in my studio, but obviously do around around 23, 25 recital portrait shoots a year. Um, so, Rose, can you introduce yourself and
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Rose Coleman. I am based out of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. I've been doing dance photography since I was about 2000. Both my parents were photographers. They had a dance photography business. So I've grown up in the volume photography world with dance for a very long time. And we do about 20, I think it's 25 or 26 dance studios here in Oklahoma, Texas, and a little bit on the East Coast.
Lisa, introduce yourself both as a dance mom and then, what you do at Photo Day and kind of like introduce Photo Day to those few people who don't know what Photo Day is.
Thanks, Ron. So my name is Lisa Malice. I'm a co-founder here at Photoday. But first and foremost, I am also a dance mom. So I'm also your client. So I have two dancers. They are 14 and 16. They are ballet and competition dancers. So I am very much ingrained in the dance world. And then Photoday is a software company that was developed really to modernize volume picture days in general. So back in the day when it was just paper forms, and as I had children and they became of school age and it was still on paper forms and prepay, being from the industry, I really, thought that there had to be a better way to do that. So myself, along with John Dazzies and Rainer Floor and Greg, our CTO, we developed this software called Photoday. We took the latest and greatest in technology and figured out a way to bring Picture Day to today's parents. Not only that, to make it very simple for our lab partners to produce, print, and ship and deliver those products that your customers order, as well as for our studios and photographers, you guys, on how to your workflow overall using really great technology. Our shiny thing is our capture app. I know that's what Rose actually loves. And we use facial clustering, basically an image of the subject to cluster all of their professional photos into one gallery very quickly, very efficiently, and without timestamps, and without blurry QR codes or handwriting down every single number. So image number. So we made it very simple, and that's what we're all about here at Photoday.
Okay, thank you for that. Everybody, we are going to be taking questions in the chat. So as we're going along through here, feel free to ask any questions that you have, but put them in the chat. What we're here to talk about is our dance recital portrait workshop that we're having here in Crystal Lake, Illinois, which is a northwest suburb of Chicago, and it's going to be on November 21st and 22nd. We're able to go into like a lot of detail in those 2 days. One of the most beautiful things that you get out of it that I feel, and there's a lot of people in here that I see their names, I recognize their names from our conferences and other workshops that we've done, and they'll attest to that. And please say so in the chat. But the best thing you get out of it actually is forming relationships and with other photographers who come to this to these workshops. And now you have people who are doing what you're doing. And if you have a silly little question, you can just call them on the phone and just say, hey, how do you handle something like this? So that's one of the, I mean, aside from the education that you get, just networking is so huge. Um, yeah. Yeah, there's Jeannie. Yes, exactly. Um, and um, so the first thing I want to do is just kind of like talk about like recital portraits. We have some people who are kind of new to it, and other people have been doing it for a few years. Maybe you have three, four, five dance schools. I can't tell you about how many people I've heard from since we started doing these conferences in 2020 about, taking the information they learned from all the different photographers that we've had, come in and do these workshops and conferences, and they've taken their business to such a next level. Some people began opening studios when they never thought it was even possible, and others just like were able to do so many new dance schools that they were just that I don't know, maybe they didn't seem possible at first, but then they became so inspired, and learning about others having success, and then they began believing in themselves more and being able to do it. So, um, the thing is, we want to be able to help you. Before Potted Photo, I really don't believe there was a community for dance photographers, and so that's one thing I'm proud of. For those of you who came in through Photoday, you may want to join Potted Up Photo Facebook group. Um, and just if you're interested in doing dance, it's just another way of getting some information. Um, the other thing I want to say is like I would say, and Lisa, you may know this, but I would say at least 95% of recital portrait photographers use some kind of a software company to assist them. Is that correct? At least.
I would say a pretty fairly high number. I mean, I don't know how you do it without software, to be honest. I mean, I did work for a volume studio back in the early 2000s before there was any type of really great software out there. And keeping track of the dancers, at the time we had about 20 dance schools that we were servicing, kind of where I started out, and keeping track of image numbers and those dancers returning over a period of like a week or even in the same day with different costumes and those image numbers. It's just an impossible task. It's a lot of work. So you kind of have to have the software and the workflow hammered out to really tackle dance recital photography nowadays.
Yeah. Um, Let's see. And the point that I wanted to say in saying this is that one of the things I love most about Photo Day is that because you are a dance mom, you really actually do focus on dance photography as opposed to, well, we're doing all this other volume stuff, and yeah, we do it for dance as well. For you, it's like it's pretty important, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely important when you look at dance. And if you're even new to the dance recital photography world, it's just a different world in general. And we were just having a conversation before we hopped on, how the client is actually both an athlete and an artist, right? And working, and capturing those moments is so entirely important. With all the different costumes, those memories to preserve over time. It's just a different type of subject, type of client, type of session in general. But it also falls into the volume category. So it just needs a little bit of extra.
Okay, so I began doing recital portraits as soon as I could. I would love to hear from anyone out there, like put in the chat if you do not do any recital portraits yet at all, but you're interested in doing them for the first time. Um, like we sometimes have people coming from volume photography to doing that. Um, and or we have people, dance moms, for example, who want to do it and then but they don't have like the skills or whatever, and so they have to develop the skills. But you know what? That we all started there, not all of us had parents as photographers like Rose did. That was pretty amazing for her. And but we all had to start somewhere. And so like I think Ethan put down here that he's looking getting into it from weddings. Um, yeah, Jody uses Photoday for families and things like that. Amanda is a dance photographer, but has only done individual sessions and never done volume. And here's the thing I'm going to say about volume, um, especially with in the dance world. You can there's revenue to be made in it. In other words, what I have always been saying is that the minimum that you should think about making is $70 per dancer. And so a regular dance school studio might have 150 dancers. That means you're making $10,500, in a 1 day shoot. And that's pretty good. Like with when you do like volume sports, you're usually just getting one or two shots, or schools, kind of the same thing. But with dance, they have many different costumes, um, and um, and you're able to generate so much more pictures that they're obviously going to buy because they've got to buy their pictures. Rose, what was it like for you? Like when did how did you first get into, you do both cheerleaders and dance recital portraits. What got you into that? Because I don't know if I think your mom did it as well.
Mhm. Yeah, so my experience with this side, well, dance photography was my first experience with volume photography in general, because my mom had had a portrait studio for a very long time, and then she did some dance clients that dance owners that had studios, and then that turned into one thing or another, and then she kept booking more, and then we off branched and made a kind of a different division under a different name called Spotlight, and then she developed that pretty hard, and then eventually at one point kind of we closed the doors of the studio and just focused on the volume stuff of that. And she did that for a very long time. She still comes with me to dance studios, like when I'm like, oh, just come, or I need someone to drive with me to Texas, come with me. So she'll come with me. And she loves still, she likes the little people, like little people. A lot of people don't have appreciation for the little people in the tutus, but I mean, those are the big money buys. So grandma's always buying that biggest package of that girl. So my mom loves the littles, and so she'll come with me. And yeah, that was my first experience when we had tried like yearbook photography, sports photography, some other things like that. Dance was the all inside, all air conditioned all the time, which for me was a win. I don't know if you see the paleness and the redheadness, but this pale girl needs to be inside a lot. And so that was great. There's no like reshoot rainouts kind of thing. Nope, don't have to deal with that. So it was very steady, very dependable money in a very short season, right? So like that recital, as soon as they could get their costumes in, and we're hoping by spring break that's going to happen. And then by the time like, they get out of school, we got that window to make it happen. So it was very dependable, very good money, very, like a franchise, you can repeat it, rinse, wash, and repeat, and just crank it out. And that started that journey for me. So when fast forward down the line, and then I have my own kids, and I'm trying to figure out my own life of like, good Lord, having a studio is exhausting and expensive and all the things. And like, what do I want to do? I always kind of fell back to the few people, including my parents, that were like the people that make it. You want to make some good money, and here they're doing volume. And probably you don't know a lot about them because they're too busy making money because they're doing volume. And so I was just like, well, that making money is very important to me. I'm gonna be honest. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go down that road. And so I always said, and I still tell people to this day, like if I had to start over, if I had to move to a new town and start over, I would just start a dance photography business, because there's one on every corner, and there's 30 within the city limits, because it's usually the first thing that a lot of times, often little girl at 3 years old gets into. It's some sort of dance, it's like dance or soccer for some reason, but a lot of times it's dance. And so even if they phase out as they get older, there's just a lot of rec programs around. And so it's just an easier thing to book a lot of them in an area if you're good, or you know how to market it well. And that's what, like, if I had to move to Colorado, where it's really pretty all year long, because we do talk about that. I'm like, it's so pretty in Colorado, we should move there. And I'm like, that's what I do. I start a dance photography business, because there's tons of them everywhere. And if you know how to do it, if you can figure out the volume side with efficiency and organization and market it well, and got a system like how you sell it, like we do use Photoday. I'm 100% Photoday all the time. It's a really good way to make a lot of money. And that's just honest.
Mhm. Lisa, why don't you talk a little bit about, as a dance mom, what it's like, what dance recital portraits are like when your kids are obviously involved in those.
Well, I just because we're starting a new dance season right now. It goes the dance. recital season goes with the school year calendar, right? So when kids go back to school, that's when they start dance, and recital is usually before they graduate, end of year, before the next promotion into the next grade. Right now, I just shared some photos with my family of my dancers when they were teeny tiny little toot toot dancers, the ones that I bought a long, long time ago. Because watching them evolve and grow as dancers each year is very rewarding. They work really hard, and then the older they get, and the more complex or challenging dance and the choreography and the opportunities become, it's just really has been amazing to have the professional portraits from the time they were very young until the time they were very, and even if the kids don't continue past dance or if they cross over into cheer, like a lot of them do when they get older, having those memories as like a dance mom. I mean, I still have my kids' first pair of tap shoes, their first pair of ballet shoes, the very first tutu they wore, the very first leotard they wore, like there's itty bitty ones, because I cannot wait until they're seniors and I do the before and after. So, but yeah, so I mean, it is the photographs are very important. And then in volume photography in general, like talking about how dance photography itself is very lucrative. We have always had like this thing we say around Photoday and around the volume photography industry is that the more a family invest not just money but time in their child's activity, the more they will typically spend on memorializing that activity with photographs, right? So, and that holds true with dance. There's more options, there's more opportunity, there's more of an investment. So the average order value and the return to purchase tends to be a lot higher than in other activities. So it is definitely a good area to focus on.
Absolutely. I'm going to say something to that too. I think that in the groups, especially in the Facebook world, the groups that you're in, like dollars to dollars numbers and stuff like that, people post on a regular, really high sale of like a headshot or something random, something random. And it's like, that's great. And that's wonderful. But like Lisa said, what is unique about exactly what she said, the higher investment, because dance is not cheap. Often their outfits alone are not cheap. So it's more of an investment to be in those types of activities and programs. And the more they buy, yes. But I think in the volume world, people really overlook participation. So it's like, it's great to have a $300 sale. Great in a volume world. Awesome. Love it. All day long, would take it. But it's great to have like a $200 sale 70% of the time. Like I find, and we still do a lot of other sports. We still do football and soccer and stuff like that. We travel for that. But my participation rate in dancers is really, really high because of exactly what you said. And I think people overlook that because of the big flashy sale numbers, that kind of thing.
It's interesting you say that because sometimes when I take over a new school, they say, "Oh, a lot of the dancers don't actually participate in this," and I'm going, "Okay." And the reason that they're not participating is because they're not used to having a dance photographer taking really, really good pictures of them, knowing what they're doing and creating a system that's easy for them to buy. And because when I go into any of my studios, I have like 95% uh, of the dancers participate in picture day. So if there's a studio with 150 dancers, I know that I'm going to be photographing at least 142 of them or something like that. But when I take over a new school, it takes a year for them to see what they're getting, and then it's sort of like the second year, it's like boom, the participation just really blows up. What I want to do now is switch over and take some questions that have been showing up in the chat. And so those of you who are listening right now, if you have any questions that have popped up, we're still going to talk about some other things, and that may bring on some more questions later. But I want to start with some questions. And Jody Mack asks about Photoday, if they have a workflow solution for recital portraits with multiple siblings. She says that she has a single gallery for each family with two or more children. So, Lisa, you want to take that one?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple of these I can answer questions I saw here that I can get to in this by answering this one question. But Photoday really has two main gallery types. We have group or public, which functions kind of like if you were comparing that to like a shoe-proof gallery, where it's not exactly every gallery is password protected. Um, and then you have um, and then you have the private gallery. And the private gallery is each kid has their own gallery. So you could do the group or public gallery, which means that gallery, all kids go into one gallery. The end customer finds their photos instead of looking through each folder of images or you keeping track of separating each kid into their own folder. They find their photos with a photo. So they upload a picture of their child's face or one from their camera roll or snap a selfie, and then they upload that to the gallery and it finds all the images in that gallery.
Okay.
And then the private gallery is instead of a QR code or a barcode or photographing tethered, you control that data. You can enter them on site. You don't need data in advance. You don't need emails or anything like that in advance. You would just enter the subject's name, snap a photo of the subject, and then when you upload all of the professional photos to the gallery, everything will be clustered into those individual galleries. So it really like depends on how you use Photoday, but ultimately the end customer's transaction is typically seamless. No matter what you do, in your workflow or your selected workflow, they will still get the communication to go get the photos, to purchase the photos. If it's in a group or public gallery, they can combine siblings into one package. If it's a private gallery, they can't. They have to order like one package per child, but then they can check out together in one transaction at the end. So hopefully that answers that question.
Okay, I'm going to have Rose talk about the workflow in just a little bit as well from her perspective as a photographer. Before that, I'm just going to kind of keep going down, and Amanda says, "Hey, I'm a dance photographer, but have only done individual sessions and then have never done volume." And along with that, I'm going to go down to Michael Bricken's comment. He says, "I'm interested, but it seems like everyone already has a relationship with a photog." So here's the thing, okay? If you're shooting whenever I have an individual dancer come into my studio, which happens a lot, especially with my color powder and rain sessions, I always, find out what dance studio they're from. And if they're from a dance studio that doesn't use me, I ask who their dance photographer is, for their recital portraits. And Michael, this goes back, to your thing that, hey, it seems like they already have a relationship with somebody. Sure, they have a photographer, but when you talk to the parents, a lot of times they're going to tell you, oh, wow, like our photographer is just terrible, blah, 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 or I can't tell you all the things that people have said about when they're complaining about a photographer. Sometimes they say, wow, our photographer is great, but when I hear that they're not liking their photographer, that's when it's time to really talk to the dance studio and find out if they'd like to meet with you because you can provide a better experience and better pictures, with the education that you can get, through our workshop, or maybe you're already an established dance photographer doing recital portraits and it's easy for you to just transition in there. And then that goes back to Amanda again, because if you're already doing individual sessions, yes, you can find out those things and get into some studios that way. But here's the other thing too. Because I am working with so many dance schools, I shoot like 25 dance schools. I also shoot about 25 high school varsity teams and college teams. It drives a lot of individual sessions to me. So Amanda, if you're already doing individual sessions, if you're able to get into some dance studios, it just brings in more and more work beyond what you get with recital portraits. And then Ashley asked about recital portraits happening on actual recital day. And I know that Jeannie kind of already answered it to you. It's kind of sad, but some places do have you shoot on a recital day and or on their dress rehearsal day. And so the dancers come running in and they're all half the time they're sweaty and stuff from their dance. and then they have to hurry and go change, so they're in a rush and it's stressful. And man, I tell somebody, okay, if you have to do it this way, I'll do it with you one time. But if you don't change with me the next year, you're just gonna have to go with somebody else because it's to me, it's never a very good situation. So just like Jeannie said, we usually set up our own, photo day that's dedicated to photography for that dance school. We go and set up at the dance school and do the shoot right there, with them, and it works out marvelously like that.
Yeah. For the record, us as dance moms prefer it not to happen on recital day ever. There's enough things we have to think about on recital day, let alone pictures.
But the pictures are not going to turn out as well because they're stressed and
Right.
sweaty. I mean,
Exactly.
they
Exactly.
come back to me sometimes and they say, my girl's sweaty. And it's like, well, we cleaned it up as well as we can. I mean, come on. The best thing to do is just not do it on dress rehearsal day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say to speak to that to whoever asked the question about like when if you're trying to break into it and somebody's got already an established photographer and stuff like that, like that's going to happen. People hate change. People like dependability, even if sometimes they don't get great quality, they don't like change. So, you can always some of the biggest accounts that we've gotten have taken years a prompting of like, hey, just following up, just checking in, just want to make sure. Did your person retire? Did they die? Did something happen to them? Like, are they good? You still got someone? Or can we come in? Like it sometimes don't be discouraged if like the first year you try to get 20 and you maybe get two. Like just send those out every once in a while, periodically when people are booking and stuff like that. Because it doesn't hurt to be like, oh, you've got a great photographer, got a great relationship. Wonderful. No one wants to be a jerk, right? But be like, hey, should that person ever decide to move to Idaho? I would love to have the opportunity. Should somebody decide they, want to retire or they're taking on, could we come in possibly and do it? Just light promptings doesn't hurt. And some of the biggest accounts that we've gotten have taken years to do that. And it just keep falling back up. And like sometimes my husband, he books all of our accounts most of the time. And he'll be like, scored it. And I'm like, what? He's like, oh, just account I've been messaging for like 5 years. They finally want to book something. And I'm like, okay, that's great. And he's like, yeah, and they're a huge account. It's like, okay, just keep working at it and don't be discouraged, by it because it does take time. And people that are established, like most people in their businesses, if they've got something that is dependable and it works for them, a lot of times it's hard for people to change because what I have found the negativity of in the volume world is like somebody else said, like, oh, they've got a dance mom in the group. A lot of people can do portraits all day long, outside, beautiful light, natural lighting and stuff like that. But shifting inside with gear and lights and equipment is a different ballpark, right? So most of the times when people do have complaints, it's like they had someone come in that can make really beautiful pictures, but they never got their pictures or that never got delivered, or we never got our link, or we never got to see them. Like the whole business side behind it of like organizing that. Are you using software? Are you sending out links? Can that mama buy at 10 o'clock at night when she finally went to sleep? Like she's in bed. This is her time. This is her Amazon purchasing time. Like that's what we're doing. Like, have you made it accessible to them? Like, so those are the things like having the system rather than just be like, I can produce the most beautiful pictures in the world, but can you sell it to them? So having all of those things set up, like, so a workshop like that we're having that teaches you all of those things is highly valuable because people can take good pictures all day long, but can they get it to them? Can they deliver it to them? Can they get them in their hands? That's what we find when we are booking new or people that complain, on the business side of it. That's what they normally say to us.
And I just want to jump in on that because here's the thing. This is what I find out when I hear this, okay? It's often a one-person shop, okay? And they're trying to do what they've done is they've taken on too much work. And some of you may have done this too. And this is why you need to join with Photo Day. When I actually have a team that works with me, okay? I have a full-time editor, full-time two editors, and a studio coordinator that work year round with me. But during the spring and summer, when I'm doing the Dance Recital Portraits, I actually have 18 employees. And it takes, almost all of them are part-time, but it takes that many people to turn around the work as quickly as I want to turn it around. And You don't need to do that. That's the beauty of it. Like what Rose is talking about, she was talking about how Photo Day works for her. And what you do is you do the shoot and then get it out to Photo Day and they take care of all the rest. Lisa, why don't you just talk just for a moment about like how the sales process works? Like once the galleries are up, what happens?
Yeah, so we like to pride ourselves, and our bragging rights are we have one of the most simplest softwares to implement into your studio. It's very quick and easy to get set up and running as a studio interested in Photo Day. So we like to say you can be set up and selling your first job within 30 minutes. It's that fast. You don't need 2 days of training and onboarding and everything. Our customer success team, aka we call them the bubble, they are here to help you every step of the way. And we do also offer demos and onboardings. But basically, what we say, it really boils down to this. You have to do two things very well to be successful with Photo Day. One, you have to capture amazing images. Expressions matter, posing matters, especially in dance. And then, of course, everything else, lighting, composition, the overall composure of the photograph, that image, it matters, right? So creating amazing images and an inventory of those images is going to be what determines how much your opportunity is, where your cash is that you're going to make. Now, in order to make the cash, the second thing you need to do very well is tell people where to go view and buy their photos, right? So you can take all the greatest photos in the world and make all the images, but if people don't know where to go view and buy them, then you're not going to sell anything. So if you can do those two things, we can do everything else for you. And that's really what we like to say is like, it's really, really that simple. Now, there's a lot of complex stuff that happens to make that happen. That's how we earn our keep. I mean, Photo Day has a commission fee. We're freemium. We only make money when you make money, but that's where we earn our part of the bargain, right? Our part of the deal is earned when we generate revenue for you. So sending out the communications, helping with customer success. Am I pricing right? Are my packages, do they make sense for what I'm doing? Our team is here. We have a lot of data from all over the country for a lot of different job types. And our team is here with that knowledge, with that backing to help you get set up for success. That is what we offer every single one of our Photo Day users. And then, of course, with promotions and with the whole experience for your customer from beginning to end, the speed of delivery of the minute they buy now and check out and pay with Apple Pay or Google Pay to the time it ends up on their doorstep or with digital delivery instantaneously through text message and email. Every step of the way, we want to provide that ultimate experience for your customer. You're providing the experience on picture day. We want to carry that through all the way to their doorstep until the end. So that's where we really come in. And that's how we roll over here at Photo Day. And we're all about that, making life simple. So you as studios, as creators, as photographers and image artists can continue to focus and do what you love and let us handle all the back end stuff. And we'll handle the not so fun stuff. So, and then we all win.
Okay, and we have quite a few questions on here, so I want to try and get to them as quickly as possible. Let's see. Douglas Brown talks about doing, like cheer action shots and dance performances, and having the opportunity of shooting portraits is a whole different thing. And I think your ability to sell more, obviously, is much better with Dance Recital Portraits. But that's a great way to get started and really understand, cheer and dance. And mentioning of cheer, by the way, when we do the workshop on November 21st, 22nd, Rose is also going to talk to us about how she gets, all these cheer teams and how those shoots work as well. We're not going to spend a lot of time on it, but some of us are always looking for more ways of adding some more, and that'll be a great way of doing it. Karen has a question about color consistency. We're going to get back to that in just a minute. Christopher Garcia asked about individualized passwords for each dancer or group gallery, and Lisa, mentioned that yes, you can choose one or the other. Karen says, do you find studios with scholarships for students to tend to have lower buy rates? What I find on lower buy rates are the rec programs. Like if you have a Parks and Rec program, obviously they're charging less, so they're attracting a lower demographic and they just don't have as much spending power. And so their buy rates are going to be a little bit lower. Um, so I'm not sure. Like I know there are some like high level dance studios that offer scholarships and stuff, but I don't really, I'm not impacted by that with any of the schools. Rose, is that kind of true with you too? Yeah. Okay. If you came last November, how will this be different? We're really going to focus a lot um, on on Rose's work on Photo Day. We had it. She actually came in for just a little bit. And I think we're going to focus a lot more, on that. And then the other thing that's going to be different, you're going to have new people here. Yeah, that means new networking. Um, I implemented some new pricing strategies this past year, so I'm going to be able to tell you how that worked out for me, which it worked out quite well. Um, so there's a number of different things. And I think the other thing too is every time you come, you just pick up a few new nuggets, and that's really what it's all about. If you're already like doing this sort of thing, you want to get some new things that just makes things more efficient or increases your sales or whatever. And that's what you can get out of something like this. Michael says I'm a Photo Day customer and he loves them. Will Photo Day be at the Artistic Lighting Workshop Day? And that's no, they're going to be there both Friday and Saturday beforehand. Um, but it's the only one you can come to. Well, I don't know if they're going to still be here. I doubt they'll still be here on Sunday that we can set up a meeting or anything. But maybe if you come in on Saturday, we can set up a meeting with them. But the other thing about Photo Day too is, and Lisa, please speak to this, but when somebody is interested in Photo Day, they actually get to talk to somebody, right?
Yeah, yeah, we're here for to schedule a meet with any of you at any time. So you can reach out on our site on photoday.com. It's a little orange bubble in the lower corner. You can request a call. We can set up a time where we can do like some one-to-one demo consultation, just figure out what your needs are, what you want to talk about, and we'll connect you with the right member to get your questions answered. But yes, we're always available to chat. And we have a great Facebook users group, the Photo Day users group as well. So if you're not part of that, Ron invited you guys that are part of the Photo Day users group to join his users group. You can reverse join ours too, and anything Photo Day related can be asked in that group, and everybody's typically very helpful in the group to reach out and answer questions any time of the day. But yeah, that is we're always here.
Okay.
See, we go.
And Karen asks, do you have the option of photographers reviewing the crop before the order is printed?
So, Karen, I know it's a long requested feature. We've heard that a ton. We do have some things that our product team has been evaluating and discussing on where it goes in our product roadmap. But yes, the short answer is yes. We are looking to have some type of feature that allows you to edit an order at some point in time. I just don't have all of the exact details, but that has been on the wish list for quite a while. And that is something as we continue to scale and grow as a company that we are putting more emphasis on, is that whole experience, and what the customer receives from start to finish is very important to us as a company moving forward. So it is something that will be there soon. I can't give you a date yet, unfortunately.
But here's the thing. I honestly I think it's unnecessary, and here's why I say this. Before we ever put up our images, and I would think this is true for anyone even putting them in for Photo Day, because you have to upload the images, and so I don't know if people just do it unedited or just completely raw or what. But before we put ours in, we crop them, we cull them, and we crop them. And when we crop, we say, okay, this is a vertical image. So we crop at 4x5. So we know if somebody orders a 5x7, it's going to fit. You know what I mean? We can just, okay, they ordered a 4x5x7, just needs to be cropped and sent out. If they do a horizontal image, we do it at 4x5 with enough room that it can be cropped. If we do it at a 5x7 aspect ratio, So it can be cropped to a 4 by 5. So if they order an 8 by 10, and so it's all ready for whatever aspect ratio picture that they order. And that's what I always drive is that get these things ready to go, whatever they are, then you don't have to worry about the crop.
I
Yeah,
agree.
Ron, you're exactly right. I mean, the key words here is aspect ratio.
Yeah.
And allowing with dancers with their limbs extended, there's a lot of that going on. And being able to visualize how this will look in the various crops. I mean, the two most common crops is your images have to be able to fit like a 4 by 5 crop or a 2 by 3. If they can't do both of that interchangeably, you're going to have problems, right?
Yeah.
So if they fit both of those ratios, your problems just drop to like almost nothing. And that's what's really important to focus on when you're with that overall image composition.
I
Okay,
agree.
I want to keep going down. Let's see. Melissa Hernandez loves photo days for her recital portraits. Christopher, you can just do a Google search for Ron McKinney. You'll find ronmckinneyphoto.com, and you can reach me there. My email is ron@ronmckinneyphotography.com. What's your pricing like? And you have to sell prints, right? And the answer is no. I sell a large percentage of JPEGs, and I think Rose and I both are totally open to showing what our pricing is. Um, like my JPEGs start at $30 or $35 for one, and then the lowest they get is $30, I think, for bulk. I don't know. I have to take a look. But the beauty of it is I like a lot of transparency because there should be an industry standard. Do people still charge more? Of course. Do people still charge less? Of course, too. But we try and encourage them to bring up their price to value themselves just a little bit. So Janina, if you come to our workshop, we're going to spend a lot of time talking about payment, about pricing, all these things, and about how to market yourself and get more dance schools. Douglas uses Photoday for all his cheer volume. Um, and Karen talks about having customized memory mates. That's where my biggest problem is with mess ups this year. We create our own memory mates here at RMP. Like we just that's a benefit of having an editor and one who's been with me for so many years. She creates new ones every year with different color themes based on who they're shooting with, and the easiest thing to do is simply have a template and just put it together. Having templates is the most amazing things. You want to make this as easy as possible. Um, okay. I'm trying if I can bring the kids, of course. Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm just while you're looking for that question, I just want to touch on the in-person event, and the importance as a professional who's looking to grow or add to their business of attending in-person events. If you've never attended an in-person event, it is definitely worth the investment if you're serious about growing your business. Networking with other business owners who have been where you're at or who are where you want to be is so important to continue to grow as a professional. So the in-person events, I think I really appreciate Ron, your time and Rose to actually put your time aside and do this for the industry. But when you think of events like this one, they are really special. Those smaller events where you're in a small group of people and this very small community, like it allows you so much more than you can ever get back out of anything you can do online. So spending, a couple thousand between airfare, hotel, and the cost of the event itself, just those couple days of your time will pay back tenfold. And then, and that is definitely where it's at. And I just really wanted to say that I've watched so many studios start out and start going to these in-person events and just turn into $1 million+ volume studios. Like it's crazy to when you surround yourself with the people on where you want to go. So I think that's important. I just wanted to shout that out.
And the hotel, we actually have block rooms at a Holiday Inn, that's within like probably a mile and a half of the studio. And the room rates with our block rates are like 129 at the most, and you get breakfast with it. So it's a pretty good deal. Um, so and then I just want to just address that other question by Karen. Um, I don't know where it's she was concerned about like she used to use Miller's, and I don't know, like Lisa, you can talk about how many different printers that they can use through you. It's not just one printer that you're limited to. um but she feels like the prints are flatter, but I think that's something that can be worked on, either from her end, working with somebody at Photoday to make sure everything is where it needs to be. But um how many printers do you work with?
Yeah, you're exactly right. We definitely want to take a look at that issue. I mean, if you are experiencing flat prints, that is of concern, and to see like where the problem is and what can be done about it. We have 6 different lab partners right now you can select from in Photoday. We're partnering with Miller's, with Reedy Photo, with Richmond, White House, Bay Photo, and with APS. We recently added we recently added 2 new lab partners. They'll be added to the whole all of Photoday land, but right now you have to connect through them individually for this beta period through the fall, which is Color Ink and Alkit is coming. And then shortly then after, Arclatex will be joining as a Photoday lab. So those are for sure. They're in the process of finishing up integration and moving forward. Karen, I just saw your second comment too. If you're still getting the flat photo experience, definitely you want to take a look at your files, your formatting, your lighting, everything like that. If you're getting the same results across multiple labs, maybe there's something we can apply in terms of image editing that would definitely help get you a better result.
And another thing too, like you'll get different results from different uh, printers. I mean, that's just the way it is. I'll be honest, I think I used Richmond once, and I thought the images were flat from there, but Jonathan Givens uses Richmond and just swears by them. And so I think it also works about like, okay, my editing is for this print professional printer, and it works really well for them, but it may not work for another one. Whereas like with Jonathan Givens working with Richmond, maybe he's figured out how to edit, for the images that look so well with them. And but I use Miller's and I use Bay Photo. So those are the two that I use. So, and they're under.
Yeah. And I'll also say too, for if you're, newer to photography and the whole print process, what you view on your monitor, you're viewing a lot more pixels and the light is emitting through the screen to you. So you're seeing a lot more color depth, a lot more contrast in your skin tones, and in the image in general than what you see on a print. It is very hard to replicate it. You're 2 different viewing situations. Your eyes are handling that 2 different ways. So sometimes at some points, if you're really looking at contrasty images that pop and because the complaint is that they're flat and they look really great on your screen, you might have to over edit a little bit on your screen to get the print to come out sharper and more contrasty and cleaner. And I know, Rose, you can probably speak to this. I know you do a lot of editing yourself. But it's not an apples to apples comparison, and you have to account for that in your editing process.
I agree that I think people overlook 2 calibrations and stuff, and then you can actually get a calibration kit from your lab most of the time to make sure that your monitor matches the print. So calibration is really important, and nobody talks about it. I feel like I constantly have conversations with people on the regular of like, okay, am I doing, what are you doing for calibration? How often do you calibrate? Because I do a lot of my editing, the things that I shoot, I edit it. My photographers pretty much edit their own work. So like it being on point is really important. But yes, 100%, like what you see on your phone is not going to match your monitor when your monitor is calibrated for a print style. So we use Miller's as well. You can reach out to them about a calibration kit. It's like back in the day, that kind of thing, and then get it to match. But calibration is really important. Yeah, and then all screens are not set up the same, and the density of even how bright you're looking at your monitor will very much depend, and definitely change the way that that print is going to look. So all of those things really play a part into it. And then most labs now will do a color calibration for you, if you don't want to have to worry about that for print. But if you do reach out to your lab, I know we've worked with Miller's, that they will help you on that stuff too. Just even how you set up the brightest white point on your screen, it matters on how bright that picture is going to look on the print. So there's lots of things we could talk about with that. I know, but it is important. It is really important because you want nice, crispy prints.
Okay. So I think we're going to start winding down now. So if anyone has any final questions, do get them out there. But otherwise, I just want to remind everyone that, man, we just barely touched the surface of what we're going to cover, in our workshop on November 21, 22. We're going to spend, the better part of 2 days just going over every aspect from logistics, from what equipment you need. Because for those of you who are not doing dance photography, recital portraits, or just starting out, the truth is you're going to have big groups there. You've got to be able to go 20 feet wide. If you're not going 20 feet wide, it's going to have a hard time getting people in there. So there are some commitments and some investments that you have to make, to be successful in here. We're going to go through it all with you. We're going to tell you where we purchase our stuff, what we used. Rose is going to show you her fabulous cart that she uses. It doesn't even cost that much money compared to what she gets out of it. And Photoday will be here as well. We'll have a couple of staff members from Photoday that will be here at the workshop. So, we're going to be able to cover every aspect. We're going to talk about, for those of you who, okay, so there's a dance school. I'd like to use them, but they're already using somebody. Well, how do you get around that then? Go and, ask if you can do a comp team shoot with them, that maybe the other photographer isn't doing. And everybody wants more comp team shoots, and we're going to just talk about all the other strategies that you can use. Let me just go around. Rose, what are your thoughts? What do you want to add before we wrap up this thing? What else do you think you want to talk about that we're going to be offering at the workshop?
So I am here because I do volume. Just what I bring to the workshop is really how to handle the volume side of things, and just probably a little bit more tech heavy stuff. And just to see if this resonates with anyone. I have a small team of 5. We all work very remotely. We travel nationwide. So being lean, mean, and efficient is really important. Learning how to get stuff on airplanes is challenging. Getting things there, being efficient, kind of working with a small crew of people. I don't have a lot of people that I work with me at a dance photography event or any of our shoots. So just how to run it efficiently, and how to grow it. I think one of our superpowers is bookings. My team is really good at that. We don't try to do and be all things to all people. Our brand really reflects the type of imagery and the type of clients that we want to go out and get. I mainly work with females. I mainly work with cheerleaders and dancers, which is pretty unique to our brand, and just how to get more business. And just then when you've got it, how do you do it really efficiently for us? Like for some shoots, this past season with Photoday and tethering, I was able to shoot into my computer software and process and work on it, and upload as we are going. So it's like at the end of the night when my person's packing down and we're packing down, I've uploaded it, with a hotspot, and I'm like set to sell, and people are still in the foyer. They're like, ding, 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 ding. And I'm like, yep. They're like, we've got our pictures. I'm like, yep, I'm trying to make this as fast as humanly possible because that's why I want people to love me, make it fast as humanly possible. So, and that's important. And there's a whole line of lists. There's not just a one thing that makes it happen. There's shooting into the right software that's calibrated for your vision and your color profiles, things like that. And just how to work efficiently, and how to keep it organized. We work remotely. My team works all remotely, which is, it comes with its good days and comes with its bad days of keeping that sucker organized, when everyone works from their home. And how do you keep that organized? And what does your CRM system look like? And how do you track leads? Is that one person getting it on email? Like, okay, welcome to 2025. There should be a different way. There are different ways. Are you using the softwares to oversee that efficiently? Are you having check systems that somebody else can make sure that that employee is doing that job well? All of things that matter when it comes to the volume side of business, how to do it efficiently and how to make money and how to take care of your employees, how to take care of your clients and work it as much or as little as you want to do it. Because on a regular basis, I sit with my husband at night and he's like, well, I think if I can book 10 more da 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 in this state, then I'm gonna da da da. And I'm like, stop it. Just stop it. Okay, we're good. He was like, but we haven't booked anything in Hawaii, so and I want to go to Hawaii. And I'm like, stop it. Like, we can go to Hawaii, just go to Hawaii. You don't have to book. He's like, but if we did, we could write it off. And this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna stay at the da da da. And I'm like, okay, you're a lot. But we have a unique business because we travel a lot, doing this kind of thing. So it's very, very unique. But that's what I bring to the table. That's what I like. If you want to learn efficiency and effectiveness and bringing all the tools and tips into this year of 2025, how to make it happen fast. That's what I'm going to be talking about. And I am an open book on what we do and how we do it and our processes. And yes, I'm 100% Photoday. I don't figure out another system and I've done it all. We started with paper order forms and then we moved to in-person shoot and showing in that system. And then COVID hit and we switched to Photoday. So that was the best thing that we ever did. So that's what I bring to the table. That's what we're going to be talking about with just kind of how we do it. And I'm excited. I hope that I think Lisa said it perfectly well, that what you get out of an in-person workshop is totally different than what you're going to get on any webinar or anything that you learn online. It's different. And getting to see Ron's studio, he has a beautiful studio that can house a lot of people and his dance setup is gorgeous and it's perfect. So that even just, I find the joy of like going into people's studio. I'm like, how do you organize your stuff, and how do you do your backgrounds? And like, do you just get so much by walking into somebody else's doors and seeing how they've got this set up. So you're going to get a lot out of it. And I'm excited. I think somebody asked, Ron, you can touch on this, that if you've been to one of your past workshops, is this going to be different, or if you want to touch on that? But I think it's going to be great. I know that it's going to be great. And I hope that you guys come and learn a lot of stuff.
Before you wrap up, Lisa, I just want to touch on another couple things and add on to what Rose just said, because I was just thinking about that as you were talking about how much you travel, Rose. Like you and I are so different. I mean, we're doing the same thing and we get the same results, but we go about it so differently. And one of the other things is most of my shoots are right here in my area, like the farthest. I have some that are in Michigan and Wisconsin. But most of my shoots are within an hour and a half of where I am. Whereas with you travel all the time. People are going to have questions about, well, how do you make it work when you travel? Well, Rose can answer those questions, and that's a beauty of this workshop and a beauty of having two, leaders who do things so differently. We both do it quite well for what we do, but we do it differently, and you get to learn both ways. Before I turn things back over to Lisa for her final comments, I just want to respond to Ethan, and he said, "Could you all mention software services you use for this, like Evoto and Aftershoot and stuff like that?" Aftershoot is not ready for dance because they can't. They're great for portrait photographers or weddings or whatever, but they don't know a sickled foot, so it's just not going to work. And But Evoto is something I use all the time. We use it to extend our backdrops when we need to do that, or clean up the backdrops. It's very fast and it's really affordable and it just really works for us. I'm not sure about picks now, but the beauty of all this stuff that you just mentioned is that when you get like 40 people together for a workshop like this, it's not just Rose and I just telling you guys everything. You guys are sharing stuff too, and somebody in there might talk about hey, this is the software I really use, and sometimes we learn about stuff from you guys, so it's really good. Just like Caitlin asking about order picks. I've never heard of order picks, but it's something that, like, if we're at the workshop and she says, "Hey, I use order picks," we'd say, "Tell us all about it." We don't have time today, but that's the way these workshops work. Not only are you hearing from the two of us and then photo day, but some of the people who are attendees of the workshop will have a lot to offer as well, because we're all experienced photographers in one way or another. Okay,
Yep,
Lisa,
that's the beautiful.
what's your final word?
It's the beautiful part about in-person events is when you put a bunch of really great artistic and business like-minded people in one room, a lot of magical things start to happen and content comes out of that, and it's great. But yeah, final words from me. First, I want to say thanks, Ron and Rose, for what you're doing. I think it's great that you guys are so open and willing to share with the industry and with even people that are brand new to the industry. I think there's a lot of value to that, and hats off to you guys for opening your everything that you've done and your experience to share with everybody else. It's just really valuable for everyone that's never been to one of these things before or is continuing their education just in a different genre, right? So I think that's really great. For Photo Day, we're always here for you guys. We like to pride ourselves and say, like, hey, we're the photographer's best business partner. When you're ready to sell online, when you're ready to get serious, like, we're here for that. Like I said, we have a great, amazing customer success team ready to help you get set up and selling with Photo Day to have a successful season. It's always great to, like, if you're coming from paper forms or another solution, or this is just your first time, it doesn't matter. We offer the same level of service to help everybody get set up and selling with us successfully. And of course, we love supporting events like this. We definitely believe that this is the future: in-person events, smaller workshops, education on how to take and create that amazing inventory, how to work with your subjects effectively, and how to go in and work with the organization owners, the decision makers, because we wouldn't be where we are today without you guys, and you wouldn't be there without the schools, the directors, the owners, and everything else. We're all kind of connected together, and we wouldn't have a product without our subjects, our dancers. So that's where it comes full circle.
Okay. Um, well, that pretty much does it. Thank you so much, Lisa and Rose, for joining us for this and for agreeing to do this workshop with us. There's so much to learn. I'm just really excited every time I get to do this, and we get to continue to develop our friendships and relationships with everyone. Um, and thank you everyone for joining us today. Thank you for your questions. That was really helpful. And we're all here to help each other, just get better. So thank you very much. And any questions about the workshop, you can reach out to Photo Day, or you can, reach out to me, and I'm happy to answer any questions. But look forward to doing it with you. We'll be talking to you soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.